Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm very happy to host one of my friends who has been living and studying in Norway, and you will get to know what it's like to study in Norway as an international student. So thank you so much for joining me, Linda. I would like to ask you to introduce yourself to the audience.
Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you, Tafara, for the opportunity. So, hi, everyone. My name is Lindah Chido Matsapa, and I am a genome scientist. I hold a master's in genome science and my bachelor's in biology, where I focused on genomics. And I do have a background in biotechnology from Chinoyi University. So I did my bachelor's in Norway, in the north of Norway at Nord University, and I did my master's in the southern region of Norway at Norwegian University of Life Sciences, which is known as NMBU. That's like the Norwegian acronym of it. I am not going to bite my tongue and and say what that means. So we call it Norwegian University of Life Sciences, or
Yes.
NMBU, which is where I met our lovely host, Tafara Kundai. I think that's okay for now.
Yes, it is actually okay. So feel free. So today we are going to be talking about Linda's academic journey, which she has already introduced to you guys, how she adapted to life in Norway as an international student. And you can use her experience if you want to study in Norway in the future. And the reason why I'm hosting Linda is for you to see that as Zimbabweans, there are other Zimbabweans experiencing that life that I'm always talking about when I post about scholarships. And I'm trying it to bring it closer to home because most of the times when I talk, you guys are thinking that dream is far fetched. And I would like you to see that fellow women like you are doing it, fellow Zimbabweans like you are doing it. So let's start at the beginning, Linda. What made you choose Norway for your studies?
So that's a very interesting question because I get asked that question so many times, even here in Norway, which is another thing that people should know, that when you go to foreign countries, they are going to keep on asking you, what made you come here? Why are you here? Please don't get offended. It's more of an icebreaker.
Yeah, that's true. It is an
Yeah, in the beginning, I
icebreaker.
was like, why are you asking me this? Like I'm
Don't
a
you
student,
want
I'm here
me
to study. Is
here?
it not obvious? I'm here to study, right? So, in that regard, I would like to say that Norway chose me
Mhm.
because I was studying biotechnology at Chinoyi University in Zimbabwe, like I've mentioned already. But I was also part of the student representative council, mainly known as SRC, which is, yeah, you know what student
Yeah.
representation is, right?
Mhm.
And I was representing the School of Agriculture, and I was also working with the gender department. So I was advocating for women and girls. I was also part of the Boosting Actors Club. I was part of the Female Students Network. So you see where
Mhm.
this is
Yes,
going.
yes,
I was
yes.
also part of the debate and public speaking club. So all this exposed me into student leadership. But the main thing that I've been passionate about was mainly advocating for the rights of women and girls, especially in terms of sanitary health, education, and gender-based violence. So this
Mhm.
is how I ended up as part of the Zimbabwe National Students Union. So through the collaboration of the work I was doing for the women and the girls, because by the time you're at university, most of us are women who want to
Yes.
identify as girls, but girls will be
Yes,
girls.
yes, yes.
Yes. So during the time I was working with Student Representative Council under the Zimbabwe National Students Union, that's when I discovered that the Zimbabwe National Students Union was working with the Norwegian organization, which is how is it called? SciHoa. So it's Student Academic. That's the thing.
We can
They have the
always
things in
write
Norwegian.
the abbreviation in the comments.
Yes, I will have to write that because it's a Norwegian word, but it is known as the Student Academic International Help Fund.
Mhm.
So this is how I got nominated for the scholarship to come to Norway. So initially, when I got this link to the scholarship, I thought it was a scam because honestly, I'd never heard of Norway before. So I was like, I'm definitely not going. I asked people around me, people were like, that's a scam. You understand?
Yeah.
But then my mom said, no, just reach out. You lose nothing from reaching out and asking and learning more. Then I actually got to know that was something that was legit, and they offered a different range of programs and university that I could work with. But the only university that had sciences in English was in the north, which again I'm going to tell you, if you're not braced for cold, please research before you go to these places, because I did not research and I really did regret it. But I ended up getting a place to study biology, bachelor's, also based on the fact that I had already had a background in biotechnology. So my credits from Chinoy University were transferred to Nord University. Then I managed to continue and do my bachelor's. They did not have biotechnology, but they had biology. So I managed to do biology, and then whilst I was in the biology department, I then focused on genomics, because this whole Tinashe Mugabe DNA thing. That's my thing.
Yes, I
That's why I
do.
see you see DNA, you see me.
I think you have actually answered my second question, because I was going to ask you about how did you decide on universities and programs, and you have already like told us like the path that you chose. And I hope the audience is seeing that, having to study abroad doesn't necessarily have to be academic excellence based, but I can see that your journey was shaped about the extracurricular activities that you were doing around the work, around the time that you were studying in Chinoy. And I hope that you guys have actually learned that you have to engage in other activities that will strengthen and open you to different possibilities that are out there. Which brings me to my third question, which I think you have partly also answered. I was going to ask you what were your first impressions when you arrived in Norway, but I know you have talked about the cold, and I have experienced it when I came to Norway. But I'm still gonna ask again. Maybe there's something that you left. What were your first impressions when you first arrived in Norway?
So before I get to that, you mentioned something about extracurricular activities, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is also something that's going to be very, very important for you when you come to Norway as well. That's the best way you can get integrated as a student. So it's really good for networking. Then coming to the excruciating cold experience. So you know how cold it was for you when you came to NMBU?
Yes.
That is way less. Multiply that maybe by 10.
Yes.
That's how cold it was for me in the north.
Wow.
We are talking of, first of all, like I said, please, again, if you're going to a new country, research. I arrived in August, so it was still more or less summertime. The sun was rising, I think, around 2 in the morning. So they had daylight until 2 in the morning, and the
Yes.
sun was setting around midnight.
Mm-hmm.
So I arrived
Wow.
there around 8 p.m. It's supposed to be 8 p.m., but it's like blasting like 12 midday.
Yes.
I think I'm lost. I'm not understanding what's going on. I'm asking people. And another thing, I arrived on a Sunday. Everything was
Ooh.
closed.
Wow.
Everything was closed. On
I
top of that,
know.
I had cash. I told myself, okay, I'm gonna be rich. I have $150 because that's the amount of money that I would usually take when I go to Chinoy. I'm like, "Ah, of course. I get there. No one is using cash. Worst of it,
Wow.
foreign currency. Nothing is open. And then there's that issue with the language barrier because it was in
Yes.
the north.
Mm-hmm.
So people are quite receptive if they see that you're new, but you find one or two people who do not want to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's, and then everything on top of that is written in Norwegian, right?
Wow.
This is
Wow.
2017. I wasn't that knowledgeable about Google Translate, all this kind of stuff.
Yes.
Like, again,
Yes.
I was just excited about moving abroad. So I just dove in head first. Then winter comes. So now it's the opposite. We're only having about 2 to 3 hours of sunlight.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is dark, like pitch black, like 12 midnight black. We're having these cold spells. We're having snow that is coming up to my knees. I just couldn't fathom everything. I
I
was happy to be
understand.
here, but at the same time, I was in so much shock.
Yeah.
So I had to stop preparing. I literally had to change my whole wardrobe because I bought new clothes saying I'm going to
I'm
Norway.
good. Yes.
Yes. So
I
please don't
also
judge me.
made
It
the
was
same
my first
mistake.
it was my first time flying. Let's just start with that. It was my first
Mm-hmm.
time on a plane flying. It was my first time actually leaving the continent.
Mm-hmm.
I had been to South Africa. I'd been to Mozambique. I'm from Mutare. Literally, you can walk to Mozambique, you understand?
Yeah.
So for me, going to like Mozambique or to Zambia, like when I was in Chinoy, I was constantly going to Zambia. So I feel like just going next door, you understand? I understand it's a
Yes.
foreign country. I'm happy to do that. But we have such similar cultures and
Yes.
everything. So really, you don't really feel the difference. So me coming to Norway was a very huge change that my mind, my body, my spirit, everything was not
Was
ready.
not
But
prepared for.
I
Yeah.
had to adjust, of course.
Yeah, I totally kind of resonate with your experiences because also my first time of flying out of the country was coming to Germany. And of course, it wasn't as cold as it was in Norway, but I totally understand when you say research about the country that you're going into. And I think I also experienced the same when I was coming to Norway for my semester exchange. It was, oh, the cold was too much, the summer, the long sunlight in summer and all of that. So I totally resonate, with everything that you said. And I hope if there is someone out there who is wanting to study in Norway, they can learn from your experiences, your first impressions as well. Now, I'm going to move more into the academic life and research experience because I believe that there's a girl out there who is probably wanting to do any STEM related program and they would want to know like what was your experience. So my first question is, how do you describe the academic environment in Norway, especially in terms of independence, communication with professors, anything that can help a student who is wanting to study in Norway?
Okay, so when it comes to the academic experience, that was my whole move to Norway is amazing. It has a lot of drama and a lot of emotion, such a learning curve. Again, I was this 22-year-old who's just discovering life. So coming from Zimbabwe, from a place where, we are based more on competition when it comes to learning, we want to see
Mhm.
like who's the best at this. It's, that's what drives us, right?
Yes,
On top of
yes.
that, also, your own background and your need to survive
Mm-hmm.
drives
Yes.
that. Then you come to Norway where you don't necessarily have to be the most educated person to
Mm-hmm.
be successful because they
Yeah.
have such a good economy that whether you're just cleaning or washing dishes or doing like the most basic thing that at home wouldn't give you a lot of money, you can
Mm-hmm.
still manage to actually live and have a lucrative life
Yeah.
regardless of whatever job you want to do. So
That's
people who
true.
get into academia are people who actually have a passion for something.
Mm-hmm.
So if you come to a country like Norway, where if you're at school, they really do emphasize on independence, they emphasize on critical thinking. So
Mm-hmm.
it's more about you because they're saying you're doing this out of your own passion. The
Okay.
professors are there, they're there to help you and everything, but everything is on you.
You.
Then
Mm-hmm.
you don't have the competition of saying, oh, I really have to do this to survive. So once your body and your mind realizes that this is not survival mode anymore, you might actually realize that the program that you wanted to do or something that you thought you were interested in, you're not really interested in that. So when you don't have the drive of, like a bad
Passion.
background
Yes.
or, if poverty is not pushing you, you might actually end up not really putting so much effort into something.
Effort. Yes.
So this is also how I realized that I was more into the genomics part of
Mm-hmm.
biology.
Mm-hmm.
Because before I thought I was more interested in physiology, I was looking into getting into medicine at some point. I was trying to like push myself somewhere there. But then I realized no, I'm more into molecular biology because I just
You
like it.
like it.
And I realized I'm more into genomics. I just like it. So I started focusing on those kind of subjects. And I really got so much help. Like the professors that I had during my bachelor's and during my master's were very, very helpful. And they really do understand. They're more concerned about how you are as a person, how you are coping, how this is working for you. So if they see that you're overwhelmed or you're not really getting it, they'll even ask, like, okay, how exactly
Can
can
we
we
help
help
you?
you?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and they really do help. Like they do, but also they're not going to do stuff for you. You still
Yeah.
have to do stuff on your own, but they're really mindful of that. It's a very big difference from the experiences I had, for example, at Chino. It was more like, munhu wese hake.
We have, it's a good thing that we both have. I think our experiences are intertwined because I also have the experience from Chinoy, so
Exactly.
I totally understand what you're saying, and you have actually answered my second question. I was going to ask you about the differences in the education system between Norway and Zimbabwe, but you have already, explained the difference, the drive, and, everything else around it. So I would like to ask, did you face any challenges as an international student in the classroom or in the lab? And if you did, how did you navigate them so that, if other students come and they face the same challenges as you, they know, how to navigate or how to respond?
I'm a strong, independent woman. I do not face challenges. I got this.
Oh, I
No,
love
I
that.
didn't face challenges. I did. First of all, I think within the first year, I was the only black student
Oh,
in the class. And then the fact that awareness, of course, because before coming to Norway, I knew I was an African woman, right?
mm-hmm.
But I was never aware of it because
Mm-hmm.
everyone around me was African. So I was always identified as Lindah Chido,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then now I was identified as the African student.
African student,
You
yes.
understand? So there are certain things that are expected of you. There are certain things that you have to navigate. For
Mm-hmm.
example, when it came to group work and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that, yes, the course was in English, but the people I was studying with were Norwegians. So in that moment, it hadn't clicked to me. And again, I didn't know that, it's more advisable to mainly work with international students, but then that means that you're sacrificing your integration into the society.
Yeah.
Because I had that experience that I worked with people, and then during group discussions, it starts in English, but one
It
person says
ends
something in Norwegian, everything becomes Norwegian. People forget that
that
you're
you're
there.
there.
And then you don't want to keep on reminding people all the time, like, and then people agree on something, and then you're just there, like, okay, next thing you know, like, oh, so you're gonna do section 2. I'm like, what is it about?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I really had that challenge. So initially I felt like I was being excluded, but then I actually got to realize this later during my master's, because now I had more friends from Zimbabwe, not necessarily at school, but within the community.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that when we're in the Zimbabwean community, and I'll bring maybe like a Kenyan friend or like a friend from a different country, we can start speaking in English, but one person says a Shona word, before you know
Sure,
it,
then
everyone is flowing in
boom.
Shona. That's when it clicked in my head. I was like, these people were not intentionally excluding me, but
Mm-hmm.
it's natural. They're in their
Yeah.
country, it is their language. But yes, people also have to be aware of that. So you need to find that balance that, okay, I'm international. And also, you need to know that, okay, is this being done intentionally? Because there are people who do it intentionally, but
Mm-hmm.
there are people who do it unintentionally. So I
Usually.
just later realized that it is better for me to be in groups with international students, which is a personal choice that I did, but it really helped me in the academic setting of it, because then I knew that it was English
Yes.
until I learned Norwegian. So by the time I was doing my master's, I hadn't mastered Norwegian enough, but I had enough language skills that if people code switched during a discussion, I would not be
You
hearing my
know.
own language. Yes.
Yes,
So
that's
there's
true.
that effort of it's also a personal thing that you have to sit down and to reflect and to actually make an effort to integrate into the society, because you have to keep in mind that it is you who's coming into people's society. It's like when you go to people's homes, they will accommodate you, welcome home and everything, you understand,
Mm-hmm.
but you're
Yes.
not just going to jump into their bedroom, start using their products and all,
Yes.
like there's a way that you figure it out, and then you find your way. There's always space for you. I feel like if God puts you in a certain position, his will can never take you away, his grace cannot protect you. So there's a reason you're there. Figure it out, and you will.
Yes. You know what? You said quite a lot of things that I was gonna ask you, and I'm really glad that you have already covered them. And I would like to echo it out there that if you're going into a country that is not English speaking, try by all means to integrate, try by all means to learn a bit of a language, because in the end, what you are seeing as isolation or not being able to get along with others is coming from the language barrier. So you have to put in the effort. And I love that you said there need to be a balance, because I feel like as an international student, if you get there and you only fraternize with international students, then how are you going to integrate into the environment? How are you going to learn other people's cultures and stuff? So I'm really glad that you brought that out. And it probably answered the whole segment that I had set for the academic, because I was going to ask you, was English, widely used? And you have already highlighted that. So we move on to life outside the lab.
Okay, wait.
So,
Before we go to life outside the lab, sorry, I
yes.
forgot something that's very, very important.
Yes.
When you're going to study in a different country that has a different language,
Mm-hmm.
please check that every single module that you're doing is in English.
Wow,
Because you
that's
have some that say that, okay, it's biology and it's in English, but then you realize that they have, for example, genetics is taught in Norwegian. So you
yeah.
really need to know that every single subject. So you go through the curriculum and understand. If there's anything you do not understand, every university has an international office. You contact the international office. It's their duty to tell you. You tell them, okay, I looked into this and I do not understand this particular module. Is
Yes.
it supposed to be in English and Norwegian, or it is just in English? And if it is in English and Norwegian, if you don't have enough English students, do they just continue with Norwegian students?
Mm-hmm.
What really happens? How are the
Yes.
professors? You really have to know that and be mindful of it, because we really had so many incidences with the internet when I was now working with the International Students Union, and I was also working in the International Students Office. I had these cases where someone would come and now they're stuck with this. Of course, there's that
Norwegian
issue of
course.
changing. Exactly. But then,
Yes.
they're there with the Norwegian course, and then the professor is
Yes.
just speaking in Norwegian.
Yes.
And I'm like, yes, because that specific module is in Norwegian.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I think you have actually reminded me something that is very, very important, because sometimes as international students, we don't have the liberty to say, okay, if they're doing it in Norwegian this semester, I will wait and do it next semester. Especially if you're paying your tuition on your own, or if you're on a scholarship. If you're on a scholarship, the program has to be done in 2 years, and it's in 2 years. If you don't finish, you have to cover the cost. And if you're a self-paying student, considering that Norway has now tuition fees and all of that stuff, you wouldn't want to say, okay, I'm going to postpone an extra semester and then have to pay for that tuition fees. So you actually brought something that's important. When we are outside our borders, we don't have the liberty to say, okay, I will postpone it to the next semester. Unlike, native people from that country or people from the EU, they are there, they don't have visa issues, and all of that stuff. So yeah, you actually said something that is very important, and I hope it helps someone out there to navigate and to also map their way when they are going to study in Norway. So now can we move on to life outside the lab?
No, you say this was an academic conversation. Either we're in the lab or we're not doing this.
No, no, we don't want
Of
to
course.
scare the people away. They need to know that there is life outside the lab.
Serious business.
So, yes. So let's talk about living in Norway. How did you find it adjusting to the culture and the lifestyle? Feel free to tell us even those things that shocked you, so that they don't shock my audience when they land in Norway.
Okay, so I think I've mentioned the weather to start with. There's that.
Yes.
And then your own body adjusting
Mm-hmm.
to the changes. That's another thing. So there's something that is called winter depression.
Yeah.
Which is a luxury that we don't have, especially coming from Zimbabwe. I'm not going to speak for the whole of Africa, but I'm going to
Yes.
speak specifically for
For
Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe.
We do have our own version of winter, which is really
Mm-hmm.
cold. We have actually, but that fact of having that version of winter in Zimbabwe helped me in Norway, because from primary school we learned that you have a winter uniform, you're layering, you're wearing these leg warmers.
Yes.
So for me that was a good adjustment. But some other African students that I found, they really didn't understand this whole thing of layering, of wearing
Yes.
fleece clothing. So there are some people like me, I'm very sensitive, especially to wool. So it means I cannot wear wool under clothes. Yes, wool underclothes. I cannot wear that, but I can wear fleece. So I had to look for what works for me and adjusting to that, and having to know that your whole wardrobe changes, even your whole diet changes, your body is going to change. And then I was always telling myself, oh, I'm a melanin queen. I have enough vitamin D. I've been absorbing the sun for 22 years. Even if you've been absorbing sun for 50 years,
Yeah.
you still need vitamin D supplements.
That
You
is
need to take
true.
omega-3. Otherwise, you will feel like your body is deceiving you. Like you feel so tired. At some point, you even start looking for witches that don't exist. You start blaming your village people.
Your ancestors,
for
you
working
start
against your
saying they
progress.
followed me here. My ancestors followed me here. I totally
Talking about
understand.
that. Talking about ancestors following you. like I said, I was living in the north. Most of you people have watched Frozen, right? You've seen the aurora, you've seen the northern lights. I didn't even know that was a thing. I just thought it was part of the cartoon just to make things look nice, right? So one day, this is around 2 a.m. I'm coming from work because I'd gotten a part-time job. I'm walking and I'm tired. I look up into the sky. All of a sudden, there are these different lights in the sky.
Wow.
They are
Wow.
moving, right? They're changing from green to blue and all that. Tell me why. I was like, oh my God, my village people have found me.
Oh my
Who
gosh.
said that these witches could cross oceans? I knelt down and I prayed and I binded and I casted those witches. I was like, never
Binded
again.
them.
I
Lindah.
said, Puma. I honestly, I prayed. I was like, whatever it is that is happening, this is not going to affect me. If I'm not hallucinating, whatever it is, because then if this was from the Lord, I would have gotten some sort of vision. No, then I went straight to my room. I got
Wait,
there.
and you're from Mutare. You were like, the Bocha people have followed me.
Chipinge.
The
Ndikati
Chipping.
azondana nhaya.
I can imagine. I can imagine. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh my god.
I got to my room, I locked my door, I called my mom, I was like, Mama, ngatinamate izvozvi ndaona kunzoko mashura, you know. Then I wake up the next morning, I'm finding like on the Facebook groups and everything, like most
Yes.
of the international students and the new students have posted, oh, finally, we've seen the aurora, we've seen the northern lights, and they're posting pictures of stuff that I was seeing the previous night. Then I went and I researched and I was like, actually people pay money to come and see this.
Yes,
Oh,
they
actually,
do.
this is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
So then that led me to traveling further north. So I was like, okay, I really want to see like stronger experiences of this. This is how I ended up going to Tromsø and to Lofoten, which is like higher up
Higher,
north, and I
yes.
got to see like the beauty of it. It's really beautiful. And it's something that I do recommend that if you ever come to the north, please make sure that you get to experience this.
You get
It's
to
so beautiful.
experience it.
Imagine, it was so overwhelming for me. I thought my life was ending. So you can imagine how beautiful it is when you actually know that this is a tourist attraction.
Yes.
So,
And the beauty of our conversation is that my next 4 questions have been answered actually, because I was going to ask you like how did you cope with the darkness, the weather, but I'm still gonna ask, you know, when people say they want to study in Norway, there's this one thing that always comes up on blog posts and everywhere, like the cost of living. Maybe you could explain to us how, you know, students can navigate through that and how it is much more high. I have experienced Norway, I have experienced, you know, Central, Southeast, you know, Europe, and I do know the difference. But I would like you to shed some light in relation to cost of living, because you have talked about the winter, the darkness, the weather, and all of that.
so you know that little currency converter in your head that always says, "Oh, okay, this is I'm just going to use 1:10 at this point. So I'm just going to assume $1 is equal to 10 Norwegian krona. Of course, this changes, right? So you know that little converter that you have in your head. Okay, this is 100 kronas. This is $10. So $10 in Zim could buy me this. Oh, I'm not paying $10 for this, right?
Yes.
Delete that. Forget it. Otherwise, you're not gonna buy anything because the
Control
cost of
delete.
living here is high. So when I got the scholarship and I saw how much money was on the scholarship, I was like, you know what? I'm the light of my family. It was me who was sent to eradicate poverty. I'm here to emancipate my family. This is empowerment. Let's do this. I'm rich. You know,
Yes.
I'm already telling my mom, go, you know, the moment I get there, the scholarship will cover me. I'll take like a part-time job. Go on, be forward. Look for a car.
Wow.
Go to the city council. Get a stand. You know what? I'm here to
I'm managed. But then cost
I'm
of
calling my cousins. Okay, business ideas. Give me your business plans. I'll fix
wow,
this. I got you.
wow.
I got you. Where did I get you, my guy? I come here, I'm looking at a loaf of bread. It's around 40, 50 krona. I'm like, that's $5. Who's paying $5 for a loaf of
For a
bread? What's
loaf
so
of
special
bread.
about this bread?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the first time I couldn't really buy a lot of stuff because I was doing a lot of currency conversions. But after some time, you really get used to it, you know. And then
Yes.
telling people, they're asking you, okay, so how much is your rent as a student? You're telling them, I'm paying 7,000 krona. That's around $700. People are like, How can you pay $700? But that's how it is in Norway. They give you
Yes.
higher salaries because the
The
cost of
cost of
living is
living is
high.
high. Yes.
Yes. So
Yes.
you really have to have that in mind. So for people who come on scholarship, it's really good because they already accommodate that into the scholarship, right? So you realize, okay, you have your money for your accommodation, your food, you're taken care of. But if you're self-financed, it's something that you really, really have to think about because the
Yes.
amount of money that could have been enough for you in a different country might not be
Yes.
enough to sustain you in Norway. And
Yes.
then there's this whole thing that also if you're coming as a self-financed student,
Yes.
you have to have like this bank statement that shows that you can at least take care of yourself for a year, just in case something happens. For example, what happened in COVID? All the places that people could work part time were closed. That
Oh
means
yeah.
international students, yes, they could not go on social security. So it meant that you had your money, you proved you could take care of yourself, so you don't need social security, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. So this
Yeah.
is where it comes. It's not every time a natural, like there's a pandemic and a natural disaster
Yes.
or something
Yes.
like
Yes.
that,
Yes.
but you
Yes.
need to be prepared for a rainy day.
Yes.
So
Yes.
even if you are on scholarship, they would say the money you have for your scholarship should be enough,
Should be
which is
enough.
only enough for you to live from hand to mouth. But if you've been here a few months, a few years, you're now integrated into the culture, you have a social life, you have things happening around you, that money is not enough. And then you also realize that all those plans and dreams that you had with your family and everything back
Yes.
home, it's never really
Remember,
going to be realized.
you
And it's
promised
another thing
them
you
a
really need to
stand.
think about. Yes.
Yes.
You have to get
Yes.
to a
Yes.
point where
Yes.
you need to learn to say no, to budget and to control because we have a mentality that the moment someone goes abroad, there's this big tree where they're going to pluck so much money and send back
Of
home. So you
course. Of
have that
course.
pressure, you know. So you have to know how to balance your life here and also at the same time how to also take care of people at home because that's something you cannot run away from. So you need to really strike that balance and actually train people and tell them, I can only afford to send you $50 a month, and that's what
And
you can
that's it.
afford.
Yes.
And people need to remember that even though you're abroad, you're still a student because do not forget that you're here to study. So most people, they come here, they start working, they kind of forget why they came. They
Yeah.
focus more on the work, the school suffers. It's another thing
Yes.
you need to know that if you're on scholarship, even if you're not on scholarship, if you don't keep up your grades, your visa might suffer.
Yeah, that's one of the
Yes.
important conversations that, people out there need to know that they are actually serious, consequences if you don't keep up with your academic, achievements. The visa will be revoked and all of that. And I'm really glad that you brought that to light because I know that some of us use school as a way to come abroad, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we neglect what our visa or what our permits are granting us to do in the country of residence that we are in. So, thank you so much for bringing that up. So, if you're out there and you're listening, I know that probably this might be your second degree or your third degree, but always make sure that you fulfill the permit requirements as Linda just, suggested. So,
One more thing. And make sure
yes.
you read through the conditions of your scholarship. This is
Yes.
actually really important because there's some if you're given money that's supposed to take care of you as a student, sometimes on some scholarships, sending that money home breaches that scholarship. So if they find out that you're
Ooh.
sending a lot of money home and this money is particularly coming from the fund that you're getting from your scholarship, it might also compromise your scholarship. So
Wow.
there are things that some people can get away with, but others cannot.
Mm-hmm.
So just to be safe, you use the money that you're working part time to send home, not your scholarship money,
Mm-hmm.
just in case. And
Yes.
now they're making it even more tight and more stringent. Like the laws keep changing. When I came in 2017, people were not really checking. It was not really that much. But I saw the progression because when I came, it was free education. So the
Mm-hmm.
scholarship you got was just for
Living
food and accommodation.
expenses. Yeah.
Yes. So as long as you could take care of yourself, you could come and you could learn here for free. But I
Mm-hmm.
think around 2021, that's when they
Mm-hmm.
introduced the tuition
Tuition
fees.
fees.
And a
Yes.
lot of things changed then. They became more stringent again with this thing of checking, okay, you're supposed to work 20 hours a week. Stick to 20 hours a week.
Yeah.
Don't go beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to make sure you're responsible for your own finances. What is coming in? What is
It's
going
coming
out?
out.
How much you're sending back home?
Mm-hmm.
If you're on scholarship, are you sending your scholarship money back home?
Mm-hmm.
No. It's supposed to
Yes.
take care of you here. There's something to keep in mind and to see, like, just to be on the safe side. And also just try to make sure that just stick to the rules. That's what I would say. Just stick to, because at the end of the day, you're going to sacrifice maybe 6 months or so of overworking or doing this kind of stuff, and it's going to compromise your next 10, 15 years, which is not worth it.
Yes. And
you do get a chance to work 100%. You have summer, you have Christmas, you have winter holidays, Easter holidays. You get to work 100% then. Maximize that. Make as much money as you can in summer. Make as much money as you can in the winter holidays, in these Easter breaks. You get double pay on some of the days. So maximize on that. And don't compromise the conditions of your scholarship and your visa.
Wow. I'm now seeing like the difference of me coming here and just discussing how to study in Norway, how to get a scholarship in Norway. I'm seeing the difference with just sitting with someone who has the experience, because you're bringing out important conversations that people need to know back in their home countries before they embark on the journey to study in Norway. Because sometimes we see sad stories, as you said, where people get their visas revoked. And one thing that I really would like to pinpoint is that the Schengen area is more like one government. Once you get banned in one country, that means you have no access to the other 20 something countries which are part of it. And you echoing that means that when you're sent back home, if you want to try and apply back, that maybe you want to come to Germany next, that record still pops up that you were expelled from Norway. So thank you so much for bringing that important information. And I hope that students who are out there who wanted to get a glimpse and to get like experience of what is going on in Norway, how do you navigate the system, you have now an insight and not just, stories that you hear. This truly happens. So I was going to ask you about, international offices, student offices, but you've already explained to us that you were part of the international office and they were really helpful. And I also attest that international offices are really helpful. Don't hesitate to reach out to them. They sometimes even give you checklists before you even leave, your home country. So I'm really glad that you also mentioned that and you were also part of that. So now
because there's so many nuances and so many issues. So the thing is, like I said, I was part of the International Students Union, right? So I was dealing with students also one-on-one, and I was dealing with different issues that they had. But I was also working in the International Students Office for a year because I was an assistant in the office. And I was dealing directly with students who are still back home. So when you send those emails, I'm the one who's responding. I was also working in collaboration with the housing office, right? So another thing that you also need to be aware of is Google this, research this, look at which faculty you're going to go and where you're going to get your housing. That's another thing. So you'd find that someone would apply for a program that is in one city. Because some universities have different campuses
all over. Yes.
So now your faculty is in that city, but now you get housing in another city.
Ooh, and the transport.
Because again, this is the same university, right? You just have it in your head. Okay, I'm going to be in North University. I'm going to be in Stainsha, but then you apply for housing in Buda. You need a plane to get there. Yeah, there's no way you're going to be flying back
to and fro.
When I arrived, exactly. When I first bought my ticket coming to Norway, I was going to the north. I was going to Buda. So I thought, okay, the moment I get to Oslo, how bad can it be? I can just get a bus or something to Buda. No, I need a flight. I only and the good thing of having like friends, I had a Norwegian friend by then, and then she called me literally the night before. She was like, something in me just say is telling me that you should send me your itinerary. I sent her itinerary. She's like, you only bought a ticket to Oslo. I said yes. She's like, so how are you gonna get to Buda? I was like, I can take a train or a bus or something. She was like,
that's not possible.
It's impossible. Because Norway is a long country. It has a lot of mountains. So most of the places from city to city, it's mainly flying. Exactly. So actually, her father had to facilitate and help me to get a ticket from Oslo to Buda, like last minute. Yes, they had to she was like, no, you need a ticket because it's extremely expensive. Yes. But imagine if I hadn't known her, if I didn't have that information, and now I arrive in Oslo, right? And then I'm like, I want to go to Nord University, and they're like, it's in the north. And I remember I had $150. I don't have a bank card. I don't have anything. It's me and my passport.
Wow.
I was going to be stuck.
You know what, Linda? You keep on bringing these things that are very crucial if you're planning to study abroad. About that, the flight, having to connect, and all of that, I think it's one of the mistakes that also students make. They just go on the internet, find the cheapest flight, and probably the cheapest flight is going through UK. And if you're going into the Schengen, UK is not covered. Or maybe it's passing through Turkey, and if you're going through there, you need to have a visa and all of that. So I think some of these issues, even though they were domestic related to Norway, I feel like they apply even to international travels or to other countries. And thank you so much for bringing, that up. So now there's one question that most people ask. Will I be able to get a job? What will I do afterwards? All of those things. So we are going to move to the career and future plans, probably give a glimpse of, how it is to navigate the professional, environment there in Norway. So firstly, I would just like to ask, how did studying in Norway shape like your career goals and the way your work around genomics, genome science?
So I'm grateful I was able to be at NMBU, because at this point now I was on my master's. I ended up focusing on proteomics. It's a very funny thing, because when I was in high school, we always used to make fun of people who did agriculture. We always used to call them the cow people, like one Mombe and all that kind of stuff, like the ones who deal with cow
Yes,
dung.
yes, yes,
Guess who
yes.
was dealing with cow dung for 2.5 years? Me. That was it. Like literally, I was extracting proteins from the gut
Yes.
of the cow, which didn't smell very nice. But yes, that being said, NMBU has one of the best facilities when it comes to genomics and proteomics. So I
Yes.
really got to experience that, and it was really, really good. It was like a very big difference from the other universities, right? From Nord, from Chinoi, and this is like a
Yes.
really developed research university. So I got the maximum of what I thought I could at least extract from the country.
Yes.
So what I would advise a lot of people, which is something that I didn't do, that I was supposed to, is to make sure that you put yourself out there. Make sure that when you do your master's, try and do it with a company. It
Yes.
increases your chances of getting
A
hired.
job.
And then when people are doing summer jobs, try and look for a summer job to work with a company. So I have a number of friends. I have a friend of mine who also did animal breeding and genetics, the same that you did, right? At NMBU for her master's. So what she did, she worked with Nofima. You know Nofima, right? Like
Yes,
that.
yes, I do know.
Yes. So
Yeah.
she worked with Nofima for her
Master
master's. And
thesis.
during that time, they had an option of going to Sandosora because they wanted someone who was going to be working there. So that meant that she had to give up working 100% on her part-time job and go there. It wasn't going to pay as much, but her being at Nofima helped her meet someone actually who was like, oh, you know what? There's a company in Toma that's also dealing with like
Yes,
breeding
the
of
same.
fish and stuff like that. So I have a friend of mine who's about to quit, because this is how you get jobs, right? In Norway, mainly. There's
When
someone who's
people.
about to quit and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yes, it's gonna be vacant and everything. I've worked with you and everything and all that. If it's a job that you want, I can recommend you for that job. You apply on your own. I'll recommend after that you're on your own. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She did that, and that's how she ended up actually getting a job. But this is something that you have to know, that there are things that you have to sacrifice, because she was facing this thing that, okay, I'm gonna go to this part-time or summer job somewhere all down there, like outside of the city. It's not
Yes.
going to pay as much as I usually get paid. So it's that thing that, okay, should I continue with my cleaning job and make as much money as I can, or sacrifice making this money from my part-time job and
But
go there?
getting professional
So you find these
experience.
cases where you have to make exactly. They have so many, I'm going to just say open days, where so many companies are coming. Please take that seriously. Go to their stands, talk to them. When you're doing your masters, especially when you're about to do your masters, try and do it with the company. Tell them, okay, I'm seeing this, I have this idea, I'm interested in
Doing
proteomics, and
it, yes.
I'm looking at your company. Do you guys deal with that? Or how can genomics actually blend into this kind of stuff? Do you have any ongoing projects that I can work on? Talk to them, expose yourself to these, take these flyers, go. I think we went to one open day together,
Together,
right?
yes, yes.
When we
That
were collecting a
flashed
lot of
through my
flyers.
mind just now.
Yeah, we did that.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes,
yes,
we
yes.
did.
So those
Yeah,
kind of things, do a lot of that. I know a number of people who've gotten jobs through that,
through
who've
that,
gotten,
yes.
you know, it exposes you It builds your CV. You get to make networks. So try and do that. You can also work with the school, but now if you're working with your professors, make sure that you can show them that you can be independent. The problem with the Norwegian academic situation is they will help you, but if they see that you're relying so much for them for help, then of course if something comes up, you're not going to be the first candidate. You know what I mean? There are a lot of people who are doing their masters with the memo department. Were you part of the memo?
No.
Like there was no, that was no, but that was mainly for like so there was the memo department, the PEP department, so like proteomics departments. So there are always different things that are coming up. Then, the professor will be like, oh, this is really good. You're really working well on this. You know what? There's a project that is coming up on this and this and this. Are you interested in it? Oh, there's a seminar coming up on this and this and this. Are you go to these seminars? All this. You can even go to the professors, read about them and see, oh, I saw you did a work in this, 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 this. It's really, I'm interested in that. I'm doing this. So this is how I got to do my master's project. When I was still in Buda, when I realized that I got a chance to do my master's at NMBU, I went there, I looked at all the modules, I looked at all the professors, I looked at all the projects within the department, I looked at what I was interested in. I contacted my professors while I was still in the north. Yeah. So by the time I came to NMBU, we were already texting, emailing. I went to the offices, that's how I got to know about the memo groups, the PEP groups. So when it came to choosing a master's, they were like, oh, you know what? There's this that's going on, right? Are you interested in that? Like people are really working on anaerobic fungi and stuff like that. Are you interested in that? I was like, of course I am, because I wanted to work with gut health, right? So initially it was fish gut health, but then they were like, oh, there's also cow gut health. Do you want to do that, or you just want to focus on fish? I was like, no, as long as it's gut health, I want to do it. Then I got onto a very nice project, but my peers were still struggling to find a master's project or where to work. Yes, a master's thesis. So put yourself out there. Things are not just going to come to you. You understand? And if your supervisors or your professors are telling you something, in as much as you might think you're very much intelligent, please listen to them. There's a reason why they are your professors and your supervisors. There's a reason why they're postdocs and PhDs. You understand? If they're telling you that, try and look in this direction. You lose nothing by don't just follow blindly, but also don't try to be too hard-headed. Work together. Yes. You know what? Independence, critical thinking. That.
Yes. You have said quite a lot. First, you talked about having the balance, and I think it's one thing that people need to know when they are coming here, that success doesn't happen overnight. You said your friend had to give up, part of a job and do an internship. And I think I have an experience around that, because you remember when I finished my master's, I had to take an internship for 1 year when some of the people were getting, their PhDs, getting jobs. And by that time, it looked like something that, didn't make sense, or I was staying behind. But later on, when I got my PhD with that organization, and the rest is history. When people ask me, like, how did I get it? How did I do it? I can't even explain it, because exactly the way you said it, that do your master thesis with them or do your internship with them, is exactly how it happened. And it brings out this, silent thing that happens within recruitment that we don't talk about, which is about when people get jobs. Be rest assured that they have looked around within them before they go out there. So the advert would be public, but already there are some people who are already recommended around. And the way you put yourself out there, as you explained, is what will guarantee if you would get a job in any career that you are pursuing, whether you are in Norway or in Europe. And I really love that you put it out there, so that when students out there go to Norway, they know that each step they are doing, or each step they are taking, is actually determining if they are going to get a job after they finish. So thank you so much for bringing that up. And I have a lot of questions, and I think there should be a part 2 to this thing. But because of time, we have to do some final reflections. Yeah,
that's true. I think getting to work with International Students Office, and getting to work with the International Students Union, getting to be part of the UN Students Union, like just getting to see how different people adapt to different environments, how diverse we are. That was really, really helpful. Which brings me to some other point that I had forgotten to actually emphasize, that finding also a community is very, very
Very
important.
important.
Isolation in no way would not help you. That's the first thing. And also volunteering also helps a lot. Put yourself out there. And another thing is find a community that prays as well. So
Yeah.
for me, I'm everything Jesus. If
Yeah.
you believe in other things, I don't know, but I'll give you advice on everything Jesus. You will definitely need that. Your faith will be tested in more ways than you think. So you will need a praying community. There are days when it's going to be difficult and you need someone to hold your hand spiritually in prayer. Make sure you get that as well. And make sure you're knowledgeable of the rules and the regulations. A lot of people are getting duped in terms of part-time jobs. People are getting bogus contracts. They're getting underpaid. They're getting stuck with stuff that they don't understand because it's in Norwegian and someone tells you, oh, this, you sign. Before you know it, either you're overworking and underpaid, or you're doing something that you're stuck with the contract. So many people have gotten duped into these scam phone contracts where before you know it, you're stuck with the contract. Now you're paying $50 every month, but then they came
Yes.
to you, they told you it's going to be 99 kronas for a year or something, whatever they come to you with. So
You're right.
read the fine print, know what is a scam, know what is not a scam, protect your information. So back home, you're mainly wondering, oh, who's going to steal my phone? Who's going to do this? Who's going to, depending on which part of the country you are. But here, it's more about yourself, your information, your mental health. That's really, really important. When you start to feel and experience things that you haven't experienced before, you're not crazy. Most of the times, it's winter depression, it's the isolation, it's the adjustment to the new environment. Seek help. There is nothing wrong with seeking help. There is nothing wrong with admitting that, okay, right
I'm
now I'm mentally
overwhelmed.
overwhelmed, I'm
Yeah.
emotionally overwhelmed. And also, another thing, burnout is real. You're going to be excited when you work your first part-time job, you make the first amount of money, which is going to be a lot more than what you've usually made home for, a lot less work. But you will get burnt out. So really take good care of yourself
Of yourself.
and
Yes.
make sure you're knowledgeable with what organizations can help you in terms of any form of danger and emergency. You're in Norway, it's mostly a safe country, but we have different people living here. We have different things happening. Please take care of yourself. Take heed of the emergency numbers that you need to have, emergency contacts. And remember, if you're a student, most of the things you have student prices.
Yeah.
So put that forward. If you're on the bus, when you get, oh, that's another thing, make sure you have your bus tickets because the fine for that is extremely expensive and it's really painful to pay. So keep your bus tickets updated. Know this. Make sure you're visiting your personal doctor and everything. Take advantage of the good parts of the system that you can to help yourself, but make sure you take care of yourself because at the end of the day, if you're not there, then nothing else is going to happen,
Yeah,
right?
that's
So
true.
take care of yourself.
I have nothing to add because you have actually wrapped up this whole session. But don't worry, my audience knows that every now and again we sprinkle everything with the blood of Jesus. So they know that faith is an integral part of this community. So don't worry about that.
Okay.
So this was such an insightful conversation, Linda. Thank you so much for sharing your experience and your advice with other students that want to study in Norway. And for everyone who is watching, I hope that this gives you a glimpse or a better idea of what to expect when you are studying in Norway, from navigating the academic system and also integrating into the Norwegian life. So if you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with anyone who wants to study abroad in Norway. So thank you guys. Bye.